Hello, everybody. This is Bridge Sky, Kiss Recovery 101. It is this weekly fun check-in I like to do. Well, I'll be a little bit honest for myself. I have a lot going on in the week. I'm all about the recoveries, and it's just a great way for me to reprieve and get all those things out. And what's wonderful, especially tonight, is I bring guests on that I can share these experiences and insights and viewpoints and talk about it, have conversations. And tonight is especially special because this is KISS Recovery 101. Yes, we talk about recovery and the basics of it, but guess what? Recovery is a whole big bunch of things. And one of the things, for sure, when I really got solid in my recovery from substance use, is I realized I needed recovery from a whole lot of other things that were just buried. And I think a lot of times I was just escaping from anyway. And one of those things we're going to talk about tonight. However, there's many different even terms within that. I don't know. I still don't like that codependent term. We'll talk about that later. But again, we're breaking that apart. And that is the whole point of the show, is keeping things simple, but really breaking things down so that it's simple as can be for everybody, especially if you're new. So, hello, listeners. I am making sure to open up the feel free. This is a live show for a reason. I would love you to interact. Comments, questions, your viewpoints. It's an open door. So, yes, I guess here tonight is a woman. So this is props for that. I just love bringing on the ladies. And this guest is extra special because she is on the other side. Okay? She's that wonderful family friend, ally of recovery that is doing the things that she could do to help support those loved ones. However, I'm going to tell you, I know what it's like to be on both sides now. And so would you like to introduce yourself? Just say who you are, and maybe you could talk about, well, who you know in recovery. Let's just, an introduction, whatever comes to your mind. Yes, introduce yourself to our listeners tonight. Mike's in front of you.
Hi, I'm Patty B., very grateful member of Al-Anon, and actually pretty new to the program. And maybe interestingly enough, I actually didn't join Al-Anon during the time that my husband was active in his addictions. I didn't go to Al-Anon until he was actually thriving and really involved in his recovery. So because I realized I needed Al-Anon for myself.
It's wonderful. Yeah. Okay. I see you're just so elegant about everything. You're so graceful, Patty. That's what I love in our interactions. It's just you do it well. Say things well that I don't get defensive. I know there's a lot of folks in Al-Anon originally, still to this day. I don't know what it is. They just rub me the wrong way.
Yeah.
So, okay, but let me just throw things where they're at. So if this is the first time listening, the first 20 minutes, half hour, we're just going to have a good discussion on the topic, whatever topic that is, recovery. And then there's alarms that go off that remind me this is a live show. People are listening and I need to interact. We also have a segment called the hot seat. Mind you, the studio room is hot, but no, it gets hotter when you ask certain deep questions. So there'll be 3 of those, Patty. Get ready. Okay? But they're not meant to make you feel uncomfortable or awkward or, they're really more meant that they are deeper questions, okay? And I know we've had a conversation about this before too. We don't like the, what is it, casual small talk crap. Yeah. We're really living life here. We don't have time for that. We like deeper, engaging conversations. And then the last segment is mostly for fun. I do throw a couple things in there that are meant to just dig a little deeper. But definitely, it's called live Facebook memes. So if you're on Facebook, there's really this great invention of memes that have really come out a lot lately. I'd say within the last year. And they're clever. And one of my things I do at night, you call it self-care, is I like to lay in bed and look at the memes. And my favorite ones, screenshot, save it to my phone, and then I pick the best ones. And Patty, you get to view them live with our listeners. And like Facebook, you're going to react. Would you say laugh out loud, hearts, and you're free to comment. So again, it's a great way to just end the show on a good note. So, all right, let's get into this.
Cool.
So I did share with you a clip we are going to get into, whatever we want to get into, but yes, I think I already talked about this. Self-care, self-love. For me, most of my life, I'd say 39 years, that was not my go-to. I didn't even know what that really was. So I didn't do that. And so when I finally started to understand who I was, what I want in life, I have to really force myself to put myself first on that list. That's still a struggle. Okay. So that clip is really going to talk about that. But let's talk about what anybody else, if they read the post, if they're listening tonight, K.I.S.S recovery. So both sides of codependency and the Al-Anon program, we're going to just get into those frequently first asked questions because I still have a lot of those. But family members have the opportunity to learn from the experiences of others who attend Al-Anon that have faced similar problems. Many come to Al-Anon or Alateen feeling hopeless or unable to believe that things can change with someone in their life that has a substance use disorder. So in Al-Anon, people can meet others that share the same feelings and frustrations, and if not the exact same kind of situations. They come together to learn a better way of life, to find happiness, whether their loved one is still using or not. I like that line. Yeah. Okay. And it says, changing self and releasing, the delusion of control from all sides. Ooh, I didn't understand that either.
Yeah.
Because I know initially going to treatments or meetings, the way they described it, you're too controlling. You're, like they made it like I'm trying to be this dominant, egotistical jerk. But I'm glad I started to attend way more women's meetings. And what I began to finally understand for myself is that controlling piece was more just for me to keep myself and my children safe. That was my intention. Not that they have to grow up a certain way so they don't grow up like I did, or that it was more like if I know where things are at, if I know what kind of plans we have, that gives me safety, gives them safety. It wasn't a control like I don't know how I heard in a lot of men's meetings or even clinical treatment centers. So let's just get into it. Okay, so Al-Anon, I did attend some meetings. My sponsor definitely highly recommended it. I listen. I do now take suggestions. So I think my first Al-Anon meeting was just over almost 2 years ago. And I had been sharing with her that I was in a relationship. It was not going well, which she, by the way, predicted 6 months beforehand. Okay, but I didn't listen. She just started seeing things. But I went, and I remember saying to her, Marcy, what? Al-Anon? That's not, I'm in recovery. What are you talking about? Like, she's like, no, Bridge, it's for people that are trying to support people that, aren't on your path anymore. And I'm like, but I'm the villain in that room, Marcy. They're going to hate me. And I had all these things, but I did what she said. And I tell you, it was shocking. At least that first meeting I went to, there's 2 other what they call dual members. Mm-hmm. So that at least eased me a little bit, but there was a lot in there I was kind of ready to hear, but a lot in there I did not expect to hear. So Patty, I'm going to give you the mic. Will you just talk about maybe like what got you to finally go into an Al-Anon meeting, then maybe how they've been going, and then where you're at today? You just talk for a while. I've been talking too much.
Sure.
Get close on the mic.
Okay. Yeah, so, when I first heard about Al-Anon, I had been around people in recovery, and I think there seemed to be some negative sort of ideas about what Al-Anon was, at least communicated to me, like, oh, that's where you're gonna go in there and blame us, like and that really bothered me, and I didn't want to be a part of that because I really loved my AA friends, because I was just talking to my husband about this tonight. One thing that I really, really appreciate about people who are active in their recovery is you can have such really good, meaningful, life-changing conversations. And, that isn't true in most of my relationships outside of the AA family. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. So it really bothered me. And I didn't really want to, I didn't really want anything to do with that. I didn't feel like I needed that. But then, I saw my husband. So my husband's been in recovery. I think he's, going into his 8th year. And forgive me if he's already in his 8th year. But probably about a year. It's actually probably been longer than a year now, where, he's really active, committed to his service work. He leads, a regular squad every week and does a lot of other kinds of service work and really thriving, seeing a lot of growth and in him. And meanwhile, I'm just, hanging out, spiritually dry. I read a story from Lois, who is Bill W.'s wife, and she talked about that when Bill was getting sober and really kind of getting his feet under him. He was working with people, and he was no longer around as much. And I could really relate to that. Jason was, out and about doing his thing, and I'm, very grateful for that. But I missed him and felt a little jealous about that. And then what I also started to notice is that, he was developing relationships with people, and some of those people of the opposite sex. And, I realized it's like, wow, that, he has a connection with these people in a way that I will never have with him. And that was really scary. And it tapped into insecurities about myself that have been there since a young girl, so it was really starting to play on insecurities that already existed. And I just found myself, really struggling with my thoughts. It just, I would feel like I was getting control over it, but then it would just hit me, it would just like sideswipe me. And I was so afraid that I was going to start manifesting things because I was thinking so heavily upon these things to the point where I'm in tears. So I'm really feeling emotion behind it. I tried to like journal and, try to journal opposite messages because, if I look at what is in front of my face, not what's happened in the past or what might happen in the future, that's when I'm just inundated with those negative feelings. But when I look at what's happening right in front of me, I see and recognize that my husband is very attentive. He's very loving. He's there. He's trustworthy. He has integrity. There's all these wonderful things about him. He treats me well. I'm so blessed. And so I was, in my notebook trying to write those things down, trying to counter all this negativity that I was, was just bombarded, and I felt like I had zero control over it. And so that's where it brought me to my knees. I had no control, and my life was unmanageable. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to go to an Al-Anon meeting. And it took me a couple of weeks, but I decided I'm going to go to one meeting every day of the week in this one particular time frame. Well, it turned out I couldn't find a meeting, where I wanted to go. Like, I didn't want to work too hard, So I went to 2 meetings in 1 week. And in the meeting, I felt a little like, gosh, everybody's really struggling. Like, there's a lot of pain, particularly from those who are, still, they're still living with somebody who's active in their drinking. And, you just feel so much heartache in that room. And, excuse me. And so I felt a little out of place, like, man, I'm not sure I qualify to be here. But what they say is just come back, because nothing happens quickly. Or sometimes things happen quickly. And in my case, things happen. There was a particular situation that sort of played out where it brought healing. And I think it's because of the things that I've done and giving it over to God, that third step. Growing spiritually and allowing my higher power to take control. And I think that happened. But other things don't happen quickly. So I've just, focused on keep going back and hoping that not only will I continue to grow, but that maybe I have something to say that will help somebody else, because it's that group consciousness. And that's kind of how I relate to a higher power too, that collective consciousness and wisdom that's just floating around the air, just waiting for us to grab it. I don't really believe that, but whatever. Yeah. I don't know.
That is beautiful. Okay. Okay, you just said like 10 things, which hopefully I forgot half of, that I would love to, yes, just bring. It's beautiful. Beautiful things you just said there. And see, just what you expressed there is such in a loving way, okay? I totally hear and can understand, have compassion for your side. And interestingly enough, I had my guest, John, who brought his wife on, and I had brought her to the mic, and again, she shared the same thought, where she was happy that he was now getting this recovery finally after all these years. He was doing the things, and especially in the beginning, he was doing those things a lot. So first they weren't seeing him because of his addiction. Now they're not seeing him because of his recovery, right? So it took her and the family a long time to really. It was hard to just accept that. They're like, well, now you're, in recovery. Now I want time with you. Now I can't even get that time with you. Okay, so yes, I totally get double-edged sword, right? Yeah. And so that's why I think Al-Anon is wonderful, and I love Thrive is another newer group. Pam runs that, and they have the same idea as Al-Anon. However, they're more. I like that they teach. They do more like workshops. So they definitely teach like Al-Anon does, like a great program to lay the things out of how to, reflect on those things. But also, I like that they're really up to on the language. Okay, so just before tonight, I definitely tapped into. I do have an Al-Anon book. And just going to the website, there's beautiful things. There's quizzes you could take for if you're an adult child of alcoholics, or if you're, an Alateen or a teen that has alcoholic parents or whatever. And there's key questions, and it's a great site. So if you want to go to, I wrote down Al-Anon, which is AL-ANON.org. Great information on there, okay? Even if you're just thinking about it, okay? And one of the things that you also said that I really liked is Lois. Yes. Okay. So I did also hear that story. There's a great documentary. I think the best one out there is like it's a documentary of the life of Bill W. or something like that. It's like really cool because I think it's not like a story. Okay. There's not actors. Well, there's little clips, but they show real pictures and video. And it was this, Lois shared. She said that there was the moment she realized that she had to work on her own thing, she threw a shoe at Bill. She was so freaking mad at him, right? I just think she's so cute. She threw a shoe at him while he's trying to go out to do a meeting or whatever he's trying to do for his recovery. And that was the moment and he didn't really react, but the point is that was the moment she realized, okay, there's some shit going on inside me that I need to work on. And that's where that's where she's a genius. I mean, that's where, instead of just like having the social hour coffee with the ladies, she realized, why don't we make this like steps thing, do this for us on our side and be able to work on ourselves. And I thought that was brilliant. And it is,
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Can I just say something?
Yes, please.
One thing that I'm just so happy to have discovered is that, those 12 steps, you can insert anything in, where, so I can't control, the alcohol. I have no control over alcohol. Well, I have no control over my insecurities. I have no control over, whatever it is. Yeah.
That's our alarm. Keep going.
Oh, that's groovy. So I'm the fact that you can apply that program to so many different things in our lives, I think it opens the door for anybody to be able to use that program, and it's definitely a spiritual program. Yeah.
Yes. Well, yes, and what was it that, okay, and I love all their little slogans, okay, because they definitely have, the steps, but they have their own slogans. And one of the things, okay, so like meeting number 2, so I have all my notes still. One of the things that stuck out that someone said in one of those Al-Anon meetings was the 3 C's. We didn't cause it,
Yeah.
we can't control it, and we can't cure it.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So just reminding myself of that. Okay, so on the flip side, Patty, here's where it was crazy. It was a whole new humbling experience for me, okay? I was really doing great. I finally had a good year. I was doing all the services. I was leading meetings. I was feeling so great within myself. I was starting to really love myself. Unfortunately, my partner, for whatever reasons, there's no blame game here, but did not want to go down that same path. In fact, it veered completely, veered left of mine. And I know that it was within himself, and I had my things within myself, but going into that meeting, Al-Anon, first of all, I had a wall up, because I'm like, defend. I'm like, oh gosh, these are the
We're gonna
people
point
that
our
talk shit
fingers
about me
at
all the
you,
time. Yeah. And I do love that you shared that. That was a big part of kind of why, you didn't want to go in and be venting and blaming and shaming this. You love your husband. Like, you love, you have great friends in Al-Anon, You're not trying to go have a bash session, right? And that's what I thought too. So when I went in, okay, and there was a couple people that rubbed me the wrong way. But let me tell you, most of those ones, especially who have been going, said so many beautiful things. I was crying all new tears as a newcomer. But I remember them saying boundaries. I learned about what boundaries were. But I remember I could relate to some of the stories that they were sharing. And it didn't make sense to me, because I'm like, but I am that person. Like, I can see both sides. Yes, or the Al-Anon side. And so when they said, so I went back in and I'm like, we set all these boundaries, right? You guys said set boundaries. They didn't work. They're like, Bridge, no, you can't include him in your boundaries. They can't be your guys' boundaries. They have to be boundaries for you. And I didn't like that, because I'm like, I'm not the one who needs the boundaries. He's the one acting like an asshole. Okay? Why do I need rules or boundaries is what I thought. Guidelines. But I liked that somebody finally said, I remember like understanding what the boundaries are for me, and understanding that I'll never be able to control him, And it wasn't like I was trying to control him, but I thought if we had the same idea, or the same, like, if you say this, I'll do this, or if you do this, then I'm going to do that. Like the same game plan, because those conversations could get real heated really quickly, And so I remember understanding that more. What made it stick in for me was like, it's this promise to myself, right? I love myself. And even if I didn't love myself fully, I love my children. I love the people around me. Yeah. And if I'm making this boundary, this promise to myself, I need to keep that, or it's never going to work. And it was hard at first, because I am I don't like the word people pleaser, but I am such an understanding, compassionate person. Like, I can especially a person in recovery. I want to understand. I can understand and empathize with every single thing. However, when I was setting even the most minimal, reasonable, fair boundary, and he could not abide with that, respect that, I had to do crazy things, Patty. In my pajamas, 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm driving around I said I would leave, right? I don't want to leave at 2 o'clock in the morning in my PJs. It's freezing, wintertime. But I remember coming back. I was only gone like half hour. Okay, I had to make the point. Yeah. But he was shocked. His face was like, I can't believe you did that. Because that's way out of my cover. Out of my cover. That shocked him. Yeah. But I think that's when it really started to, for a little bit, he was like, okay, she's good. Taking this serious. It's going to be serious. But then it more pushed him away in his own head, unfortunately. So, but yes, I love that, the dual member part is really great. But I did enjoy hearing fully the other side of things. So, okay, wait. The alarm went off, Patty. We gotta see.
A while ago.
Yes, and there is some interaction. So, Facebook user, let's see. Hot seat question. Oh, hot seat question. Do you feel that it's okay for someone to call themselves sober if they are only sober from their drug of choice? That's a great question. Okay. So, here's the thing. I've learned new recovery language. I do not like the word sober or clean, because clean it's been pointed out. So if you're clean, right, you're not using your DOC, your drug of choice. So when you do use that means you're dirty. You're a dirty person.
Yeah.
So clean right away makes that mean the opposite. There's the opposite, that you're a dirty, horrible person. I don't like clean at all. Sober, I don't like that word too, because again, that's such a small, tight-knit category of something. What's so beautiful about the word recovery is it's way more open to all these things. And let me tell you, DOC, drugs of choices, okay? Everybody has an opinion on that too, okay? That could be, like, there's things that are legal, but if you use them in abundance, they are just like they are a drug, okay? They're going to hurt your health too. So caffeine, perfect example.
Yeah.
You know,
Food.
shopping, you know, your drug of choice might not be necessarily a drug. So that's why I like recovery, because for me, saying I'm in recovery means I want recovery. And I have the intention of always wanting to better heal myself. Because once I think I got something down, right? I'm recovered from my shopping addiction, okay? It jumps right into coffee again. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Mine is food.
Yeah.
Mine is eating.
oh, don't get me started.
Yeah.
Especially a certain time of the month. All
Yeah.
I want is chocolates
Yeah.
and stuff. So, but to answer the question,
Is that a question for me? Or
it's
is
for
that a question
both
for
of
you?
us.
Okay.
I think. But to say, do you feel it's okay for someone to call themselves sober, or I would say in recovery, if it's off of one drug of addiction of choice? Yes. I say everybody has a fucking sorry, this makes me upset. I think everybody has a right to, you know, label and clarify and tell themselves, and if they want to, they don't even have to tell nobody else what they're at from. But let me tell you, when I was doing cocaine or meth, the fact that I stopped doing those things and just smoking a little weed, yeah, I'm feeling a lot better. I'm reducing that harm. And for someone to say, no, you're not in recovery because you're still smoking marijuana. Fuck you. No, you don't get to say, you don't get, no. I think everybody, they know where they've been. They know where they are in their journey. And to have outside people come in who doesn't know what's going on, and nobody will ever know what's going on in your head, your body, your past, don't get to tell you nothing. So yes, I think everyone should be able to say whatever they want. Do you want to, do you have any?
Just a comment. I agree with you. Like, who am I to argue with you about,
What's
yourself?
sober, what's clean?
Yeah. I would say, though, that there's a difference between calling yourself sober and then saying or experiencing growth, within yourself, spiritual growth, becoming more emotionally intelligent, those things. Like, if I suspect, although, as I'm thinking about this, maybe I will just leave it there. Like, I think that there's a difference. Like, you can say you're sober, but are you growing? I think that's the most important thing. And, that's coming from somebody who, I don't think I struggle with addiction, alcoholic or so I can only say so much about it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and it's so funny that, you say you're not qualified. Like, I remember first walking into AA, and I'm like, I don't know if I qualify. I don't have a DWI. I don't have this record. I don't know if I really qualify to be here. It's just, let me tell you, just stay long enough. Don't work on some of that healing. You qualify plenty. But I remember someone said something to me, like, just because you say you're clean doesn't mean you're sober. Or just because you say... they were trying to decipher, like, but when you say you're sober, which this is, again, why I like the word recovery, or when you say you're in recovery, it means you're working a program, whatever program that is. Yes, I love the 12 steps in all capacities, but there's so many other programs. But it has to be a program that you feel that you are growing from and healing from. And oh my God, it is already 8:30.
Wow.
That's crazy. You like it? Yeah. Doesn't make you want to get down? Okay. Well, we do have another question, but let's get into the hot seat.
Uh-oh.
You want to do that?
Sure.
Or do you want to do the self-love clip first?
I'll let you make that call.
You know what? I think we should do some self-love first.
Okay.
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 And then the hot seat questions. I promise you, this is not it's too bad. I don't think, but then I never know. Okay. So, listeners, just so you know, I do not have my technical assistant here. Sally is not here, so it might be a little rough to hear, but hopefully it's manageable. Okay, so I am gonna let it play. It's about almost 4 minutes, but it's called "Benefits of Self-Love," and there's multiple speakers. We're only gonna play the first part of it, but if you want to on YouTube, I already did share the clip. So if you're on YouTube or Facebook, you can see it in the comments. But here we go. Benefits of self-love.
I'm full, I'm overflowing. My cup runneth over. I have so much to offer and so much to give. And I am not afraid of honoring myself. It takes taking the time to know who you are to be able to deal with the onslaught of negative messages that you're bound to get. So for me, I came into this with a pretty clear sense of myself. So I fortunately came into this situation with a really clear sense of who I was. So when you hear the smack talking from outside the world, it's easy to sort of brush that off.
They say when you love yourself, everything works. But when you don't love yourself, everything hurts. Your bank accounts hurt you, relationships hurt you. You can fall in love and then they'll randomly desert you. They'll randomly just hurt you. Family members hurt you. You'll keep getting hurt until you decide to revert to self-love.
It is so important that you encourage yourself, because in this day and time, in this day of social media, in this day where you are bombarded with negativity constantly, every minute, every second, no matter, you don't even have to look for it, it'll find you. And you carry it on your person. Sometimes it's in a pocket close to your heart.
Yeah.
You pull your phone out and there it is close to your heart. You have got to encourage yourself and protect yourself from all the negativity, because if you let all of that in, it's very hard to find yourself worthy, find yourself believing and knowing that you can.
Every night, list 5 things that happened this day, in days to come, that you are grateful for. What it will begin to do is to change your perspective of your day and your life. I believe that if you can learn to focus on what you have, you will always see that the universe is abundant and you will have more. If you concentrate and focus in your life on what you don't have, you will never have enough. Be grateful.
I like me. I've liked me for a very long time. So for a long time, I've had a very good relationship with myself. I know. And we all like ourselves in here, but you gotta work to get to that place. And if you're going out into the world as a professional and you don't know who you are, you don't know what you want, you don't know how much you're worth, then you have to be brave. And then you have to, you have to count on the kindness and goodness of others to bestow that goodness on you when you should be working to get it on your own, because you do.
Okay, I'm going to leave it go. Because there's so many things already. So, Patty, off just what we heard, is there anything that stuck out to you?
I think I'm feeling a little envious, actually, because I still can't really make those kinds of statements like, I really love myself, or I really have a good relationship with myself, or for whatever reason, I struggle to really feel that way, to really believe that. I mean, I can say I'm a good person. I have a good will. Like I have good intentions. I know, I recognize myself to be a kind person. Thank you for my grandmother, who taught me kindness and continues to, follow me and teach me kindness and protect me in that way. But, I also, I think that I'm starting to recognize that I didn't grow up in a home of alcoholics, but my grandparents on my father's side were both alcoholics, and I think, I'm dealing with the effects of alcoholism through like that generational alcoholism through my dad's absence, essentially. Even though he, has always just been right over in South Minneapolis, just not around. And I think, we all, whether you're a young man or a young woman, we all need our daddies. And, daddies who are, loving and supportive and attentive. And, and I think that's, I'm still dealing with that. So, yeah, I'd like to get there.
Yeah. Okay, well, and here's the thing. I said 39 years ago, I didn't even like myself. So to be where I'm at today, and I can fully say that I love myself, I didn't just, that I've been in this program for a long time. So I'll tell you, it wasn't just the spirit of this program, okay? I also needed a therapist. I also found DBT to make me understand things within myself I didn't even believe at first.
What is DBT?
So DBT is a great question. DBT is dialectic behavior therapy.
Okay.
So being able now, I could tell you, I'm not like perfect or anything, but I can, and aware, I can control my thoughts, emotions, and actions.
Wow, good for you.
Yes. Oh, it's not just like snap of the finger. I haven't mastered
awesome.
those skills.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel like I've definitely gotten enough experience. I have my go-tos, but practice. I was in DBT for 18 months, Patty.
Okay.
So initially, it wasn't just this alerting thing. I mean, this one thing I just caught on to. So one of the things, okay, just what you said and this also pinpointed what you said earlier too. For me, I know when I'm saying mean things to myself, my innermost mean things, and my own worst enemy, so what I learned at DBT is label those things, catch that voice. So that inner voice I labeled as my inner me girl, that fear. So if I feel like I'm not doing good enough at work, I know that's the inner me girl. If I feel like I show up somewhere and I'm looking like a scrub, that's inner me girl talking down to me. Now, if I feel great sadness, if I feel like my friends don't love me enough, or I'm missing things, or I feel pain or sadness, DBT, it was my therapist who helped me understand it still makes me emotional. That's my trauma. That's my inner child. So my inner child still seeks and wants things, even though I'm 41 years old now. I feel like I got things, I got what I want. I've got independence. I got my children. I've got a good job. Like, I feel confidence. I know who I am. So that's where I know my inner me girl or my inner child is there when I feel off balance. When I feel, not out of control, but when I feel thrown off in a sense of, I feel like a longing for something, like I'm missing something. And I know that stems from my inner, and I used to not have compassion for myself. I used to not have empathy for myself at all. And all I do now is I visualize my inner child. I see that little girl. Oh, I just got to look at my daughter, Juliet.
Yeah.
And I can give myself that grace and that empathy. And it's okay to cry, Bridge, because I grew up it was never okay to cry. It was never okay to show emotions. That's weakness. You're going to get punished. And now I could just, when I feel that wall come up, I could say, no, little Bridge, it's okay to cry. Hug yourself. And there is like the skill that you could do where you literally hug yourself and you take in a deep breath. And like I visualize my little girl, my little inner child, or my Juliet. And it allows me to release some of those emotions because it's still very hard for me to just openly do that by myself. Okay, so, but I love that. I love that she said 5 things to be grateful for. At the end of the day, actually, in the beginning of the day, whatever time of day, it don't even have to be 5 things. Usually at the end of the night, I'd try to 2 or 3 things. At least try to pick out one thing that was good in the day. It's whatever works for you. And then I like, the one woman made a point. Yeah, she was talking. It seemed like a room full of women that all love themselves. Let me tell you. I'm happy for them. Okay, did not come easy. That never came easy to me. But I did like. She made a point to say, I don't remember the exact words, but when you love yourself, or at least when you're solid, when I'm solid in myself now, I know who I am. And like you said, I've always known I'm a kind person. I've always known that I've always been a giver. Like, that's just always been in my nature to want to help other people. But picturing my inner child, I need to give to myself first. I need to take care of myself and love myself and do things for myself. But understanding, and when I have that, when my cup is full, runneth over. If my cup is full, that's what I am able to spread that love everywhere. And that's what I'm able to, really genuinely give and not feel any kind of emptiness, because I used to empty my cup right away. But understanding it has to start within. So I had to do a lot of work within myself, still do. That's why I'm in recovery. But anything that throws me off from my happy or my joy, my, let's just say, neutral, balanced state, is I'm letting an outside force do that. I'm the one letting an outside force do that, whether it's a grumpy old lady over here in this building that wants to just stomp on my joy, whatever. I'm not going to, I don't need to let that happen. Whether it's somebody driving on the road, I don't need to let that happen, And
Good
so
thing is we get plenty of practice, don't we?
every day.
Yeah.
So, okay. Oh, and here you go, Patty. Looks like Trippin' Jimmy says Patty has a sexy voice. Do you want to respond to that, Jimmy? I have a feeling I know who that is.
No.
Yeah,
That's actually our band.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So that's probably my husband. Yeah.
Okay. I hope it's your husband.
Yeah.
Because if he's listening, though, Trippin' Jimmy's going to get ass whooping. Okay. Well, and I do see we have more interactions, but let's get into the questions. The show's about an hour, but it's okay if we go over, but I like to keep within those confines in case people want to go to bed, like I've been trying to do. By 10 o'clock, I'm in bed. Okay. All right. Oh, yes. I do like sound effects. Just makes it more fun.
Is this the heat? Yeah.
Look! It says fire,
Yeah.
fire effect. Fire sound effect. Okay. So we are doing the fire because it's the hot seat time, Patty. Okay, 3 hot and heavy questions. Here we go. Jumping right into them. Patty, and I'm going to give you the mic.
Okay.
You don't rush to answer, I don't feel, anything. Just whatever comes to you, okay? I get a lot of people like, well, do you mean this or do you mean, nope. I'm not even going to repeat whatever just comes to your head. That's what I want you to answer. It's however you perceive it. So, number 1, what's one thing in your youth that you had a judgment about and now, today, no longer think that, have that same judgment or think that is fair? Like, you couldn't have been a child or maybe just teenager or whatever you learn. What's a judgment that you had growing up? Now you realize, wow, I don't know where that came from. I don't know.
Gosh, there could be so many.
Right?
I'm feeling a little stumped. Because I wanted to apply.
Yeah, just whatever pops into your head. This is supposed to be
All right.
easier
Well,
one.
I mean, I think my views have definitely changed when it comes to. I'm definitely more of a live and let live kind of person now. Not that I've actually kind of always been and I've gotten criticized for this over the years, but I've always kind of been somebody who's. Some people will say, people who are critical of this will call me a fence sitter. I kind of straddle the fence. I don't get on one side of the fence or the other because I have a lot of empathy. And so I tend to see things from, oh, well, I can imagine them feeling this way. And that's why they would think this way or because the world is not black and white. As much as the media would like us to think that the world is black and white, it is not. Most things are very complicated, complex. So what I'm trying to say, I would say, what I was thinking about is, this idea of like same-sex marriage. or, versus a traditional model. I'm probably, I probably have changed my views in that regard. And I take a much more live and let live approach to life. And who am I to dictate or even form opinions about other people's lives? That's not really I get to form opinions about my life,
Yeah. Oh, yes. That was a deeper answer. I like it. I'm not going to share mine. It was very childish. Okay, question number 2, Patty. Do you often, this was from the Al-Anon website. So let's go we'll gauge this one together.
Okay.
Do you often mistrust your own feelings or feelings expressed by others? That was their question. Now here's the piece I'm going to add into it that I feel makes more sense. Okay, so do you often mistrust your own feelings or feelings expressed by others? And how do you process when you feel like unaccepted, or you're with your own feelings, you're not accepting of them, or someone's, expressed their feelings, but you're not really accepting those? Like, what's your first initial go-to on that?
When I have feelings that I'm not trusting, or...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I definitely recognize that our feelings can deceive us. But I can say as I get older, I'm learning to trust I'm learning to accept that I have feelings, right? Like my feelings, they're there for a reason, right? But what's behind them? So we have to think about that, right? What's causing this? I can't remember the question. I'm just going to keep talking.
So when you mistrust, like say if you mistrust your own feelings.
Yeah.
Or someone else expressed their feelings, so you don't just, right off the bat, you're not trusting those feelings.
Yeah.
Like how do you were answering it.
Yeah. I think, thinking thoughtfully about, that's a little redundant, but thinking about where they might be coming from. I do, I kind of going back to just my tendency to think about where they might be coming from. Like not just my feelings, but like somebody else's feelings, like what are they experiencing in their life? But knowing that our feelings can deceive us, so it can be tricky. But as I get older, I do tend to trust my own feelings a little bit more, because I feel like I'm becoming more intuitive.
Yes.
So I'm really able to tap into that much more these days than I was, 10 years ago.
Yes.
So,
Ooh, I love that.
I don't know.
Oh, that's great. See, my mind's just so simple these days. Simpleton. No. But I know for me, what right away came to mind, because it just happened yesterday with my friend Marisha. I still have a problem trusting feelings of, like, compliments.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like someone like, oh, you did that really well. Or, oh, I really liked what you shared. Or even, like I was telling her, even someone saying I'm pretty. Like this guy said I was pretty. I was like, immediately my own person's like thinking, what are you trying to get? What are you trying to say, go there? And my inner me girl's like, you ain't pretty. You might be cute, but shit not pretty. And Risha right then and there goes, Bridge, you are pretty, right? You know that, right? I'm like, I still didn't believe her. At first I'm like, but Brene Brown has taught me, accept the compliment. Just accept the fucking compliment. Get used to that.
Yeah.
And so instead of trying to, like I always want to say, oh, you mean cute, I just say, thanks, Risha. Thank you. In my head, I'm like, just accept the compliment.
Oh, Bridge, I can totally relate to that. Yeah. Just accept it. Say thank you. And yeah, but wouldn't it be great to be able to just go, yeah, thank you.
I
like,
feel pretty.
yeah.
Or I feel smart. Or
Yeah.
I feel confident.
Yeah. You kind of remind me of like, you're like a butterfly. You're so like fluttering around and doing all these wonderful things. So yeah, I don't know why I said that, but yeah.
I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you. Okay, last question. What's been the hardest boundary that you've had to recognize and set for yourself? Ooh, this is a good one. And I really want to know the answer.
I mean, the one that comes to mind, I experience this probably daily because my husband and I spend a lot of time together, and we, you know, we're in the car together a lot. And my husband is just got a problem. You know, he just has a problem.
Road rager?
Yeah, kind of. I wouldn't call him a rager, but yeah, he's like, when we're in the car, something about being in the car where he just cannot say anything positive. Like, it's just one negative thing after another. So I have to say, I'm trying to set this boundary for myself, and I'm just failing miserably, like daily, which is to not call him out on it. You know, and so I started like this mantra of like, okay, breathe in, I accept my husband. Breathe out, I love my husband. Like every time it happens, like, and try not to like say anything. And so I'm starting to get a little, I don't know if Jason will have to tell me when I get home if he's noticed this, but I'm getting a little quieter in the car. Like, because I'm like, I just gotta not say anything, you know, like trying to stop calling him out because what I'm doing is just pointing out his flaws. And that doesn't make anybody feel good. So, and I don't want to keep doing that to my husband because I love him, you know? So.
That's a very nice answer, Patty. But I'm going to be on the other side because my kids call me out all the time. And they have a right to do that because, A, I'm the driver, right?
Yeah.
I always feel like their lives are in my hands as the driver. So, yes, I do have some issues, especially when motherfuckers be cutting me off and my kids are in the car. I do. The dark side comes out.
Yeah.
But what I don't think of in that heated moment is I'm also scaring the passengers.
Yeah.
Okay? This happens with friends too, not just my kids. So I say, where I find, so coming from my kids, or a note to you, my teenagers they're very wise. So earbuds are a fantastic way.
Earbuds.
So J-Dog out there, if you don't want to be offended, so here's the nice thing with the earbuds. There's two, okay?
Yeah.
So to be nice to him, you could put that boundary like, so these earbuds, there's two, okay? So you could just kindly put in one. So you still want to be involved in the conversation if it's going to be good. But if it gets out of hand, go ahead and put in the second earbud. My 16-year-old does that to me. And my oldest, he doesn't even care. He immediately just puts on the headphones when he gets in the car. He's over my shit. So, yeah.
That's great.
You know,
great.
but
Yeah.
that's very kind of you
Yeah.
for him. He's a very lucky man.
I can see too, like once the one earbud's in, it's sort of like a flag, or it could be like, okay, Jason, check it. You know,
half tuning out.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is, it could be. I do actually do that too with people that I drive with. You know, if they're just ranting and raving, and you know, it starts to mess with my zen.
Yeah.
I like to have just classical or instrumental music. You know, and I'm not trying to completely tune them out, but calming stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff that calms me.
Yeah.
But if it gets to be too much, they don't see me hit the volume up.
Yeah.
So I can really just pay attention to what I'm listening to. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be rude. But
that's great.
But I've set boundaries with it for myself that I'm not going to allow somebody else. I used to just allow anybody shit all over me and ruin any joy I ever had. You know, because I felt like I'm the mean person if I say something, right? But I realize now, to keep my cup full, if I don't say anything, it builds up. And then I blow up, okay?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a daily thing, let me tell you. But I'm okay with that. And I always welcome my friends and loved ones, you know. I say, let's have a conversation about it. You know, if you need space or I need space, take the space. But, you know, I want to have a conversation because I love you. I want to work on this and fix this. If I said something that hurt you, I want you to talk about it, you know. I have roommates now, okay? So I have that door open, you know, and sometimes I'll remind them because I could just read body language like nobody's business, you know. And at first I'm like, oh, maybe it's a hard day at work. But then if I notice they specifically it's pointed in my direction, I'll bring it up again, you know, in a nice way. Because it seems like so many petty things, if they really affect your daily joy, it's worth talking about. I don't want anyone around me to ever feel that I don't want to be the reason that they feel uncomfortable or they're not enjoying life.
Yeah.
Okay. It must be reasonable. I can't enjoy life every day necessarily, but I want to try.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do think sometimes there does come a time where it's just not going to work, you know? And so, Jason, I may start driving separate.
There you go.
I'm joking.
You
But,
say
you know,
that for every
well, yeah, I might actually have to take
Or
the
offer.
second car.
Yeah, there you go.
You know,
Absolutely.
I'll meet you there.
Yeah, I'll just meet you there.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Okay. Oh my gosh, so many interactions. So, okay, let's see. Ooh, and we got 5 minutes. Let me just get into the sound effects because our last segment is my favorite segment. So I don't care if we go over. We're doing the segment.
Okay.
Okay. So. It's perfect. Because the memes might be weird.
Yeah.
They might be scary. They might be mysterious. But we're going to figure them out together. Okay?
They might be science fiction.
Yes. They might be facts. They might be unproven yet. But we're going to do it together. Okay. So, it is meme time. Really quickly. Oh, looks like Trippin' Jimmy's tripping all over the place, Patty. He said, let's see. Trippin' Jimmy, your band says, "We love you, Patty. My kind Sherpa up the ascent of the Everest of my flows." It sounds like a song, right?
Yeah.
Right? That's what it
It's
is,
what he
Patty.
calls me. Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet.
I'm the Sherpa of...
When will I start thinking about what I'm about to say before I say it? Oh, I need to be aware of my flaws, so I appreciate the hell out of honesty, yours and mine. Yours and mine. Honestly, that is... Oh, and it's cut off. So let me see if I can... Nope, I can't see. If you're looking at the screen, it is cut off. I cannot see that. Up here, there was a question. Addiction is a deadly disease. Oh, yes. And I made a point in the post to say it is a family disease.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand that at first because when I was really in the depths of my stuff, I'm like, I'm the one fucking dying here.
Yeah.
I'm the one in pain and suffering and being, I felt tortured.
Yeah.
How could it be a family disease? And now looking at things,
Yeah.
I could definitely see that that suffering and pain affected everyone around me. And whether I meant it or not, that wasn't my intention, right? I didn't think that, I just thought I was hurting myself. Like physically, I knew I was hurting myself, emotionally and all that. I didn't really see how it was affecting everyone around me that loved me.
Yeah.
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 I didn't care about the people that did love me. But I also now see that I was really hurting. And yeah. Okay, I don't want to talk about that. But it says, if you make it okay to substitute one for another and new corners see that, what are their chances of getting and staying clean? So if you make it okay to substitute one for another and the new corners see what, okay, I think I get what they're saying. Newcomers. Oh, newcomers.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I think it is, but newcomers got, okay.
So is
And
this
newcomers,
related to the question about whether
before.
it's okay to
Yep.
call yourself
I think it's the same person. It's a Facebook user. So, but if you do, is it okay to substitute for one for the newcomers to see that they're okay? Okay, first of all, I never make anything okay for anybody. Okay, so let me just go off of what comes to my head and my own experience, okay? So when I'm working with a woman, and, mostly at the beginning, I just want to get to know them. I want to know whatever they're willing to share with me and really just begin to understand what happened. Because at the end of the day, Dr. Gabor Mate is spot on when he says all addiction comes from pain, comes from trauma.
That was so good.
And so many times, a lot of times, we don't even know that we had trauma in our life. And in his case, the trauma actually could start in the mother's womb as he was being, they've scientifically proven that. When she's stressed out, this was wartime, all those stress hormones go right into that baby.
Yeah.
So it could start there. You don't even know it. But little things that, being bullied or, that's not always little, but those things you don't even realize could have set this thing in your brain. And you start to, want to escape that or numb that or not feel that. It can come up from it. But so to answer the question for me, I think that, no, I don't want to ever anyone to feel encouraged to substitute one thing for another, okay? I would never say to a woman that I'm guiding, hey, so quit drinking the, vodka, let's switch it up to beer, okay?
Yeah.
Or stop drinking the vodka, let's switch it up to Red Bulls, okay? They're not, yes, it's lesser, maybe Red Bull, but it's also not it's not healthy either. It's harmful. It's Band-Aid.
Yeah, they're all Band-Aids.
Right. Oh, I love that. So I've heard that where you're using a Band-Aid to cover a bullet wound. It's not going to do
right,
it. You're hiding it,
right.
but it's very deep wound.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So what I like to say is, first of all, I never tell anybody not to do anything. Okay? This is stupid. What do you tell one? That's just not a good idea to say, don't do this. I know better, don't do this. What I like to do is share my story and where I've gotten. Okay, so where I can see maybe this question might align to is there's gateway drugs, okay? So you stop one for a long time, and I see this happen a lot. For me, I know my addictive personality, I cannot trade one for the other. I've tried that multiple times. It might be lesser, but it's always a gateway that leads my brain into thinking it's okay to just go right back into something else. What I found is if they're working a program, whatever that is, with me, they're working with me, okay? They have reduced one and are doing another. I'm not going to tell them to stop doing that. What I'm hoping to do is start unpacking what they have going on within themselves. I don't know them. I have not known them from their childhood, whatever. I want them to be able to together unpack that shit that they might not even know, but to really understand where it's coming from. Because substituting one for another, yes, we're still trying to cover up something with a Band-Aid. So slowly I just want to guide them on their journey, because at the end of the day, they've got to figure that out for themselves, right? And for me, it took me years, over a decade, for me, I needed to understand my brain. I needed to understand the facts. I needed more than just a spiritual program. I needed to understand why I was so fucked up. Yeah. But being able to finally understand myself allowed me to forgive myself and be able to start working on the things that I didn't even know were there in the beginning. So I'm never going to tell anybody, you can't do this or that, because I don't know what's going on. I don't know. What would you say, Patty? What do you think?
I don't know that I can add anything to that. I think you're perfect. I mean, in my mind, spot on, you know.
And it doesn't have to, let's just say, let's say it's a shopping addiction, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. I have an example of this, my shopping addiction, okay? So Target. Woo, Target. I spent fucking $200. I went and spent $20, okay? So here's how I make it okay now. Instead of going to Target or Barnes & Noble, Patty, I go to the half-price bookstore and Savers.
Bookstore. Yes.
Yes, at the Dollar Tree. But guess what? I'm still not, Okay, so
Harm
like that example.
Model.
Harm reduction. Yeah. Okay. So if you think of it in that capacity, and here's what's great. I didn't even realize that was an issue. It was like 6 months ago. So here's what happened. Kids are all gone at their dad's, okay? Yeah. So I thought it'd be fun to go to Savers, okay? At the Dollar Tree. I come home to an empty house. Oh, my God, I remember that moment. I come home. I realize I dumped all the shit out of the bed. I didn't eat. I was immediately sad. As soon as I got home, the kids weren't there. I knew immediately what I just did. I bought all the shit I didn't need to cover that sadness up, because I was happy out in the moment buying all the shit. As soon as I got home, I'm like, my kids aren't here. I didn't even care about the shit.
Yeah.
And I realized, okay, now I need to go return all this shit.
Good.
And I need to get my ass to a meeting. So there you go.
There you go. Yeah.
So yeah, I think every person, there's that saying, you're not a unique person. I think it comes out in a negative manner, but in the rooms, I think it's really meant, or how it's meant to be in a loving way, is I wasn't unique in the sense of I'm alone in this shit and I'm the only one that's this messed up. It means I'm not unique and I am not alone. And there's a lot of people that can go from drugs to alcohol to Savers addiction.
Yeah.
So thank goodness I have meetings.
Yeah.
And I go to all kinds of meetings nowadays. So finding that connection and that support, true connection. And that's what I really like about you too, Patty, is that you really understand the difference between having those fake friendships and having real, genuine connections and friendships and relationships. And you're right. I think you expressed that you feel like on the outside that you won't be able to have. But that's just the reality of there's a lot of people out there like that. Yeah. But you're always welcome in these circles, And I found I doing Dharma, I'm doing meditation groups now. There's all kinds of, there's all bunch of dummies out there in the world that just want to talk about stupid things. But there's a lot of really, I went to that walk for recovery, and that was, it was everyone and anyone, just anyone who wants a piece of recovery. And I tell you, a lot of the people there, just standing there watching our kids jump on the bouncy house, we're just getting right into the depths of, we start with the weather. But then, what will you hear or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you could tap into a deeper person right away.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you can find that anywhere, but let me
Yeah.
tell you, it's a lot easier in the world of recovery.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That 12, the 12-step program is a great way to help us tap into that.
yes, and that you're right. I think the 12 steps. So interestingly enough, I know someone who's writing a book. It's a lot aligned with the idea of the program of the 12 steps. However, it's more that same. I look at the 12 steps as this beautiful program of self-reflection, self-awareness.
Yeah.
Writing a book that doesn't use a lot of the same language that the 12 steps use, but it is the same concept. But for anyone and everyone,
Yeah. That's great.
especially kids.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I already played the music. I won't play it again. We're going right into the beef. So the nice thing is, Patty, I'm going to flash them to you. So don't flash ahead. I'm going to flash them to you from my phone because that's how I look at the beefs. So you're going to get them exactly how I would see them at night in my bed.
Okay.
But the viewers will get to see them as well. So I know our listeners, I know some of them do not have visuals. They could just listen. They only listen. They have like an old school phone. I know Jason does too.
Yeah.
I have a girlfriend that say things. She
Yeah.
just doesn't want to convert. Whatever. So if you can, if there's a picture, if you wouldn't mind just trying to describe it. And you don't have to go into straight details. I had one guest just describing all the details of every plate of food. I'm like, it's not about the plates of food. So, and then go ahead and just read it like you.
Okay.
So I'll give you the mic.
Is that a
V
frog?
number 1. So that is the turtle from Kung Fu Panda, the tortoise.
I haven't seen Kung Fu Panda.
Oh my God, that's one of my favorite
Yeah.
movies.
It's really cute. Yeah. So it's a turtle, and he's just kind of got his eyes closed. His eyes are sort of like popped out. He's just got this sense of peace.
Yeah.
So the title or the text is pressing play on Netflix with a full plate of food. Oh my gosh. Finally, inner peace. You can just hear the Yeah, and you know what? I can totally relate to this because you're talking about food. Ugh.
It's just like,
So it doesn't necessarily bring me inner peace because I know it's like usually I'm eating when I shouldn't be.
yes. Oh, I struggle with that too.
Yeah.
But here's the best part is this is true. Like your self-care, your self-love, that could be whatever,
Yeah. Yep.
But it's loving yourself and what brings you. Okay, this makes me laugh because seriously, lately, a lot of nights, especially not on school nights, I find it so joyful to bring a plate full of all the delicious foods and sit like the other night, me and my daughter, it was just me and her.
Yeah.
And I let her watch Magic Mike. Okay, it's okay.
No
She's old
judgment,
enough.
Whatever.
But literally, we just ate well, it wasn't junk food, actually. Some of it was pretty good. But just ate and
yeah.
watched TV.
Yeah.
And nothing hard or
Yeah.
whatever. And I felt so peaceful. Okay.
Yeah, and sometimes just taking the time to like sit and watch a show or,
Whatever makes you happy.
Yeah. Okay, so this is like an old dude from like the 60s.
Yeah.
Polyester shirt, kind of buttoned down a little bit with big thick ring glasses.
Yeah.
The Weather Channel said to dress for the mid-70s today. Okay, so the 70s. That's great.
I literally did that.
Yeah. That's funny.
Okay,
Laughter is good medicine.
Just go swipe left, I think. Or maybe. There you go. Just words.
All right, so text on a white screen, black text on a white screen. My memes are like your ex, stolen and passed around.
I gotta tell you, that was definitely directed to somebody else's direction.
Is that right?
Oh, you see pictures of fake book, and I'm just like, well, there you go.
Yeah.
It's your problem now.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll leave that one. There it is. I don't want to manifest anything negative. Okay. This one's cute.
Oh, yeah, little drawing.
Yeah,
Little doodles. So two character creatures, little doodle creatures. Where did you find that? I've been searching for it everywhere. The response, I created it myself. And it's a picture, or it's a jar of happiness is what it is. Yeah. And that's so true, right?
And it's kind kind of
That
deep.
that reminds me of what, so kind of stemming off that question of the person that questioned, like, about if you're, replacing one for the other, and what does that, maybe how does that affect newcomers when they see that? And one thing you were saying, it to me, you were essentially saying that it's, we're responsible for ourselves in kind of figuring out, like, we do this through other people's, they share their experiences, their hope, and we don't do it in isolation. Of course, we need each other for that, our sponsors and people we trust and who love us, but we're kind of responsible for that, like, and we can't make that happen for somebody else. So it's it just says to me that everybody kind of has their own struggles. We go through our own shit in our own way, and while that might not be the best thing, that you're replacing one thing for the other, like, you are, as a human being, afforded the dignity to make that decision for yourself. We can't stop it, right? Nobody can stop it. Didn't cause it, can't control it, can't
Cure it.
can't cure it. And so we just have to do the best we can, and hopefully we're exploring for ourselves.
I love that. Okay. And at the end of the day, I knew right from wrong, right? Intuition, gut feeling, whatever. So if I was really being honest with myself, right? I knew smoking weed was not going to be the right option to, But if I let Johnny over there, he's doing it so that it's okay. That's an excuse. And then I'm putting it on him like, well, he was doing it. So that's childish shit, right?
Yeah.
So if you're really being honest with yourself and you really want recovery, you align yourself with those people that you see have what you want. So you're not going to be with Johnny over there smoking weed. You're not going to hang out with Johnny smoking weed unless you want to do that, right? So if you want what other people have, that's what I started to do. Is I started to go to those particular meetings. I started to go to that fellowship only with those people that I liked those people, right? And I liked what they were doing, and I could feel that genuine, like, connection. Where it's a cliquey, popular contest, whatever, I veered away from those people. Fuck that. Like, because I don't want to be like them. But like the barbershop thing, you hang around the barbershop long enough, eventually you're
You're gonna get a haircut.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got to be mindful of what you're doing, and most 9 times out of 10, you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, okay, next one.
Okay, so this is just text. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me, ask, what is this trying to teach me? Oh, yeah. I promise you everything will shift. Stay connected. Yeah, that is so true. That kind of, earlier I said can't remember exactly what we were talking about, but that, the universe gives us a lot of opportunities to fix. One thing I've come to realize and recognize is, things keep happening to me over and over again. It's because I haven't, like, I still have work to do in that area. Yep. So how am I being poked? And that's, so true.
Oprah likes to say, like, the universe, your higher power, whatever, is going to whisper. They're going to whisper. They read your heart. Yeah. Like, the universe, the energy, I call spirit guides. They know what your heart wants. They can hear it and feel it. And you know it too, but a lot of times us humans don't want to do it. It's too hard or it's too scary. So they'll whisper. They'll give us symbols or signs. Yeah. These things synchronize if we're paying attention. Now, if we're not listening to the whispers, they're going to start nudging. They're going to start yelling. They're going to start screaming, making your ass homeless. So get on the shit. Okay.
No, that's a good point, because, that takes time to be able to tap into that, to recognize those things. So, sometimes they're a scream.
Progress.
Yeah.
Not perfection.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one.
Oh, okay.
This is just good humor.
So 2 women,
vintage.
kind of looking at, vintage, kind of looking, or neighborly women on either side of the fence. Good morning. You need to calm the fuck down.
Those days.
Yeah, I'm actually the woman. I used to be the woman, the good morning woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I used to wake up really like happy, like that. And as a young girl, I did that and for a long time. I'm not really like that anymore, but I used to wake up really cheerful. I'd get to work and just be like, hey, happy Monday, you know? Oh my God. And people are like, just calm the fuck down.
Well, and now with roommates, I realize, and I hope we all understand each other, but we need to have a little meeting. But like some mornings I'm like that, you know? But they don't know, but some nights I don't get as much sleep or whatever. And they're like, good morning. No, calm the fuck down. I'm not ready to have a discussion right now.
Yeah.
You know, I don't mean to be like that. Okay. We're almost there.
Okay. Just text. Never refriend a person that tried to destroy your character, your money, or your relationships. A snake only sheds its skin to become a bigger snake.
Ooh.
Yeah. Learn the lesson, right?
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah.
Those cycles,
yeah.
patterns.
Yeah. I'm kind of dealing with somebody I've known for a long time who I mean, she's, you know, she's not trying to destroy me, but she's just kind of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of over it, you know, and I'm kind of done. I'm starting to feel like she's more of an acquaintance than a friend,
sorry.
even known her.
You're handing it to me.
Oh no. Am I done with that?
We got one more.
Okay. Yeah.
I
So
call
true.
them dark cloud people.
Yeah.
Okay. I've had a couple cousins. I've had a couple friends that I really like enjoyed hanging out, but at the end of the day, they were always dark cloud negative people, negative Nancy's. Like I didn't even realize how bad it was until I realized anything I said or anything anyone else said, they always turned it negative right away. So no, I've taken space, and some of those I've taken a long year's space, and it feels great.
Yeah.
I always want to rain on my parade, my sunshine. They come in with the dark clouds, rain all over the place.
Yeah.
They were drowning me.
Yeah.
So now my rainbow schizo, I can only handle. I like to handle dark cloud people in recovery because I know that they're there, you know, not to rain. You know, they're not trying to rain on my parade, right? But these couple women, they weren't just women. There was dudes too. They not only didn't, I almost feel like whenever I was in a good mood or doing really well in recovery, they really wanted to make sure I got back down to their level.
Oh yeah.
So I just intentionally could see that they were making a point to jab at me.
Yeah.
And kill my happiness, my
Yeah.
happy bubble. So.
And in reality, they're probably, you know, dealing with their own.
Oh, and it's
you
all
know,
them. Now I see it was
yeah.
always within them.
Yeah.
So, last one.
Yeah.
It's funny.
So this is like a billboard kind of. America is the best country in the nation.
Nation. I don't know why. But my mind wants to say it in a southern accent.
Yeah. Laughter is good medicine.
No
good
judgment.
medicine.
Okay. Well, thank you, Patty. You know, there's so much we just barely scratched the surface of. But what I would like to say is, especially with Alana, I'm so grateful from already what I've learned. I just recently attended New Hope. They do speaker meetings, and the speaker was an Al-Anon male. And that was great. I've never heard it. Yeah. And just so many wisdom. I'm still processing them. But I've learned just in the 5 meetings that I went to from Al-Anon, and now I've been to Thrive, but just really being able to understand that control element, that I still want to do it. And it doesn't matter if it's for good intentions. The only thing I can control is myself and boundaries. Yeah. And so that's the only way I could, you know, continue to support people at my full capacity. Yeah. You know, because I love everyone and I love those women that I'm working with in the rooms, but I can only, you know, give so much of my energy before I start to fall into the dark side myself. Exactly. But any final thoughts, Maddie? So did you enjoy yourself?
I did. I was a little nervous, but no, this is fun. I just wanted one other thing that was really good for me, a little reading. So since participating in Al-Anon, I've started doing like daily readings and, from the Al-Anon literature. And a recent reading that I read went something like, somebody called character defects as like those were behaviors that served you once in life, that they served you well. Like if you grew up in an alcoholic family maybe your parents were alcoholics and you had to develop behaviors in order to survive in that environment. And now they're character defects. And so they once served you, but they no longer serve you. That's what I love about the Al-Anon program, is it's really helping me to, first of all, recognize those character defects through the 4th step. And then, handing them off to our higher power. So to my higher power. So
That's
anyway,
beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, and here's another thing. I learned in the women's group to help me more, because I didn't like the word defects, right? So I'm thinking defective.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I had all the excuses, Patty, to not like this program, okay? But Women's Way, the group, just like what you said, though, it really was, we call them character defenses, because originally they were in me to protect myself and survive a lot of things. But now, on the other side, now they're holding me back.
Yeah.
Now they're really hindering my growth. And yes, that's what the steps do for me, is they allow me to be aware and to realize, stop, like that's now coming from fear, and I'm holding myself back from growing into a nicer person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Hour 20 minutes. That's pretty good.
Wow.
That's not too bad. That means that's a great conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, everybody, I hope you had a great weekend. I will check in with you next week. And, oh yes, the music. I always end the show with this phenomenal music. Phenomenal. I'm actually working with, so I do a radio show on the weekends. I'm actually working. I found an artist, locally based.
Nice.
I like his music. So, he's given me permission, but unfortunately he has lots of music, so now I can't make up my mind. But he's going to let me use his music for my show, so I don't have to just keep copyright stealing borrowing. Or no, you know what? I'm embracing and sharing their fantastic music.
You're all about the language.
Yes. It's just better watch what you say, and then or say nothing at all. And I'll end it with that. Thanks, Patty. Thanks, listeners.